This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This podcast contains adult themes and language, and some of the things that we discuss may be disturbing to some listeners. In this podcast, we discuss sexual assault, torture, race, and murder. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care of yourself.
We are now going to get into the early life of Howell Emanuel Donaldson III. So he was known as Trey, and he was born on January 26th, 1993 in Charlotte, North Carolina, to Howell Jr. and Rosita Donaldson, a devout Christian couple devoted to charity. And they moved to Tampa, Florida in 1995, where Trey grew up with his older sister and younger brother in a religious middle-class household.
In 1997, Trey's father, Howell Jr., was arrested for domestic violence. A restraining order followed, along with court-ordered counseling and a temporary loss of custody of his children. Though divorce proceedings began, Rosita dropped the charges and they reconciled later that year.
So that's kind of what happened to my family.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my parents, well, they got a full-blown divorce and got back
and
together.
Then they got back together
later, yeah. But I just thought that was an interesting, that there was this domestic
this
violence,
big blow
and then they
up,
split.
and then they
split.
split.
And then they reconciled. And this theme, we'll get into it in our takes, but part of me thinks that is related to their religious beliefs, because divorce is shunned in religious settings. So
yeah.
In 2002, the couple opened a cosmetology school and became active in Without Walls International Church, which later faced some scandals over finances and leadership. And questions arose about lavish spending, and this is not uncommon in Christian evangelical circles either.
Yeah.
This prosperity gospel, the Joel Osteens of the world, not saying he's a bad guy or anything, but they have a lot of bread. And our pastor in Georgia had a helicopter. I mean, it's just
God.
It's just great.
That's nuts.
There's a lot of money in saving souls. And so sometimes they do end up getting into trouble. And so with this particular church that the Donaldsons went to, questions arose about lavish spending, and the co-founder of their church and senior pastor, Paula White, who now is a spiritual advisor to Trump, divorced her husband. So that was a scandal.
That was a scandal.
And then the church declared bankruptcy in 2014. So
sounds like a messy ass house.
Very, very messy. Let me tell you something about my Lord Jesus Christ. The Bible is very messy. Christians are very messy. Human beings are very messy.
True.
Period. Right? Thank you.
So in 2008, the Donaldsons also filed for bankruptcy, and they reported multiple foreclosures on rental properties. I think they had 5 rental properties.
Wow.
Over 50 creditors, and 2 of their properties were repossessed and a vehicle was repossessed. So some trauma there with finances.
Yeah.
One of the rental homes was a small house near where the killings occurred.
I'm glad you mentioned rental trauma, which is a thing, I'm sure, because, boy, I feel like I'm experiencing it right now with my landlord. But the trauma of financial trauma, because he was probably a young person at this point. And even though our parents do everything they can to try to keep us from these kinds of struggles and concerns, kids see it. and
they
absorb
feel
it and feel it.
Yeah, because even if you pretend like everything's fine, my parents never talked about finances, never.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was something that I think because they both grew up poor and they remembered their parents talking about finances and they didn't like it. So they never talked about finances, but they were stressed out. So, I mean, you're going to get it one way or another.
Yeah, yeah. And I think how you handle it is what's important. I've been obsessed with Cree Summer. I don't know if you remember Cree Summer. She was on A Different World. She was the voice of the black girl in Rugrats. She is the librarian on Abbott Elementary.
Oh, yeah.
She's Black famous, and she's been on our screens for a very long time. And she was talking about she grew up when there was a problem, like with money or something. Her dad would just rub his hands together. Ooh, how can we solve this? And that attitude of not stressing was something she really found comfort in. And she recognized when she sees other partners in her life, when there's a problem with like money and they're like, oh no, what are we going to do? Oh no.
Yeah, that's me.
And she is kind of repulsed by it. And I just was...
Well, it is really stressful.
It's so stressful.
Yeah.
But I love the idea, and I'm not this person, but I love the idea of a problem and seeing it and like,
seeing it as an opportunity to fix it. Yeah.
I can't wait to fix this problem.
Yeah. Boy, that would be awesome if I had that attitude.
I know. But in 2008, Beth, that was when the economy was really fucked up.
Oh, that's right.
Really fucked up.
I forgot about that.
George Bush was on his way out. Obama was on his way in. We were in the stupid ass...
It's the recession.
It's the recession.
The recession started,
Yeah, and people couldn't get jobs.
Yep.
I mean, it was a mess. So Trey was in high school. He was excelling academically and athletically, playing AAU basketball. That's the expensive one where you have to travel all over the place and your parents' weekends are fucked. So anyway, he played AAU basketball, and I think he was so dedicated to the sport that he transferred schools to pursue his dream of becoming a star athlete. But despite his efforts, because it's hard
yeah, you got to be really good.
You have to be the best of the best of the best,
right.
the top 1%, a snowflake, basically.
Yeah.
He wasn't recruited and received no athletic scholarships.
He graduated from Alonso High School in 2011. Still holding on to his dream of being part of the sports world, Trey enrolled in St. John's University, a Catholic school in Queens, New York, with a reputation as a good basketball school. In August 2011, Donaldson's parents and little brother helped him move to Queens.
He made the St. John's men's basketball team as a walk-on athlete in 2011 to 2012. And for those who don't know, I didn't know, and I hate sports. A walk-on athlete in college sports is someone who tries out and joins a team without being recruited or offered an athletic scholarship, so they can still play and participate.
Play the game. But he never did get to play in a game. So he held short-term jobs with the university's campus recreation and athletics departments and spent a season working in hospitality for the New York Mets.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Peers described him as polite, quiet, and well-dressed.
He was arrested in New York City in 2014, but that case remains sealed, so we don't know what the arrest was about. And between 2010 and 2012, Trey's sister was arrested 3 times, 2 charges of petty theft and 1 for driving on a license that was suspended or revoked.
Between 2011 and 2014, police responded to 5 calls at the Donaldson home, 1 related to juvenile trouble/assault or battery. In 2016, Trey's father unsuccessfully sought a stalking injunction against his daughter's ex-boyfriend. So there's a lot of teen drama and shenanigans going on.
Yeah, and I was going to ask Beth, okay, I haven't raised teenagers yet. I'm like on my way.
Oh, they're assholes.
I'm on my way.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, they had 3 teenagers, these parents. And so in New York City, like in my head, kids from New York City like do heroin when they're in preschool. That's how like advanced and hardcore
no, that's not true.
From New York
that's
are.
Not true.
In my head, like they've already experienced everything. So like I'm just thinking that it's New York. It's like a big city.
Oh,
There's a lot more opportunity.
Trey was the only one in New York, though.
Okay. All I am getting at is raising teenagers is hard. These are a lot of shenanigans, and I feel for the parents in this situation.
Yeah.
So that same year, Trey completed a bachelor's degree in sports management. Excellent. Aspiring to become a sports agent. Okay, he has dreams. In early 2017, Trey returned to Tampa and briefly worked at Ultimate Medical Academy before being fired for absenteeism.
He was also giving private athletic coaching to students at his brother's school, although he wasn't an employee and the coaching was done at outside facilities. He later worked at a McDonald's in Ybor City, where coworkers said he didn't fit in.
That might have been challenging to be like working at McDonald's and have a bachelor's degree.
Have a degree.
Yeah, but this is hustling, right? He's got a side gig. He's got a job that has a steady paycheck. But deputies visited the Donaldson home 4 times after Trey Donaldson moved back in with his parents. But the reason for the calls was redacted by the sheriff's office.
Nurses, are you tired of spending weeks or even months finding the perfect job that matches your specialty with your ideal shift and salary? LinkedIn has improved your job search experience. Search by specialty, the shift you want to work, and the salary you want to make. Go to linkedin.com/nurses and begin searching today. That's linkedin.com/nurses.
Note, side effects may include less time finding the perfect job, working a shift that you love with a salary that can take you to St. Thomas, Jamaica, and continuous smiling because of how simple this process was.
Hank's the family fixer, always with his tool belt. But living with prostate cancer, he needed help. He asked his doctor about Xtandi and enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
Friends noticed a change in Trey after college. They said he became more aggressive, particularly during basketball games. An ex-girlfriend once described him as emotionally closed off and poor at communication.
Okay, let's get into the timeline. So, in 2017, in October, on the 9th, around 9 p.m., 22-year-old Benjamin Mitchell, a well-liked musician and student, was waiting at a bus stop on North 15th Street in Seminole Heights when he was shot by a complete stranger.
Benjamin, a full-time student at Hillsborough Community College, had been on his way to visit his girlfriend. He suffered 4 gunshot wounds to the chest, torso, abdomen, and right arm, and died from his injuries. Police recovered 2 SIG brand .40 caliber shell casings at the scene.
Surveillance footage from a nearby residence showed an individual walking east about 8 to 10 minutes before the shooting. Approximately 25 seconds after the shooting, the same surveillance system recorded what seemed to be the same person running west, and a witness who called 911 reported that she saw a black man running westbound away from the scene.
2 days later, on October 11th, 2017, at approximately 8:47 p.m., 32-year-old Monica Hoffa was shot and killed while walking to a friend's house in Seminole Heights. Officers responded to the area after reports of gunfire, just 0.6 miles from the site where Benjamin Mitchell had been murdered. However, Monica's body was not immediately discovered.
When Monica failed to show up for her grandmother's birthday, which was not like her, she was very close to her family became concerned. And despite their worry, They were reportedly told that they had to wait 48 hours before filing a missing persons report.
Early on the morning of Friday, October 13th, Monica's body was found in an overgrown lot. And this is horrible. Her father only learned of her death when a reporter called seeking comment. Yeah.
Monica had been shot 3 times, once in the neck and twice in the back. Near her body, police recovered 5 fired .40 caliber cartridge casings manufactured by SIG, suggesting the assailant had missed twice and that Monica may have tried to flee. Robbery was ruled out as a motive as she was found with cash and jewelry still on her.
Although both victims were of different ages, genders, and races, Benjamin was black, Monica was white or Latinx, and there appeared to be no pattern, Tampa police tied the cases together due to their close time frame and proximity. The 2 locations were within half a mile of each other in the southeast Seminole Heights area.
Yeah, I imagine this would have been perplexing. And I gathered that from the documentaries and YouTube videos and research that I saw was that they were like, what?
Yeah.
Completely, like, how do you even make a connection to go forward to generate leads to find a suspect, etc.? This is so unusual.
I mean, we've had this happen in Phoenix a couple of times, so.
I know, isn't that?
Yeah.
The heat makes people crazy and they just go, but yes, I do. Yes, you're right. It has happened in Phoenix. And we'll get to this in our How Not to Get Murdered takes, but what is it that makes somebody do this? The third victim, 20-year-old Anthony Naiboa, was killed on October 19th, 2017 at approximately 7:57 p.m., 8 days after Monica Hoffa's death. Anthony, who was autistic, had recently begun a temporary job packing relief supplies for victims of a hurricane in Puerto Rico. That evening, he accidentally boarded the wrong bus, and he ended up in Seminole Heights.
He was shot once in the head and died in the driveway of the same residence where Benjamin Mitchell had been killed. The location was just 0.1 miles from Mitchell's scene and 0.7 miles from where Monica Hoffa was found.
So, we're starting to see a little connection here, at least location-wise. Police recovered a .40 caliber cartridge casing at the scene, manufactured by SIG. Anthony's wallet and keys were found beneath his body, indicating that robbery was likely not a motive.
In early November, Donaldson reached out to an ex-girlfriend from high school, asking for help. Though their romantic relationship had ended years earlier, they had stayed in casual contact through sporadic texts and social media. Now he told her that he had lost his job, was moving back to Tampa, and had nowhere to go. He asked if he could stay with her for a while.
When she asked about his family, Donaldson said he couldn't go home, though he didn't give specifics. Since she still lived with her mother, she asked her mom for permission, and her mom agreed, and Donaldson arrived shortly after driving a red Mustang.
His belongings were packed in garbage bags, and he was wearing a McDonald's uniform. Both the woman and her mother were shocked by the McDonald's uniform, given that he had a college degree. They had expected him to be doing something more professional.
So, in the 90s, there was a commercial, a McDonald's commercial, because McDonald's is heavy in the black community. And Calvin.
That's right.
Calvin got a job at McDonald's and his whole life turned better.
That's right.
His teeth were whiter. Yeah. He had no more body odor. His hair and skin were moisturized. And Calvin was living it up working at McDonald's, and they wanted us all us black youths to believe if we just work at McDonald's, everything is gonna be okay. And none of us believed it. McDonald's. And
except for maybe Howell Emanuel Donaldson III.
No. Howell may have believed it, but his girlfriend's family's reaction of shock.
That is funny.
Do you see? I don't know if culturally people listening know McDonald's told us black people that we could turn our lives around if we get a job at McDonald's, and Howell did it, and the community was shooketh. So anyway, so Donaldson seemed distant and subdued. He told them he was going through some stuff and just needed to get back on his feet and get settled. Believing he was dealing with family issues, the woman and her mother let him stay.
I believe he was dealing with family issues.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it sounds like, from what we know, the domestic violence issues.
There was definitely something going on after he moved back home, because the police were called to his house like 4 times after he returned home. So there's something going on, but we don't know what it was.
And I think good on somebody avoiding problems.
Yeah, or something.
Or something.
Because there were problems, but we'll get into it.
Okay.
Soon after he moved in, the woman began receiving messages from Donaldson's friends, a cousin, and his sister. They were all trying to find him. His sister in particular was concerned. She had recently given birth to a baby boy and hadn't seen or heard from her brother since. The woman relayed this to Donaldson, urging him to reach out.
But he refused. He told her, quote, "I don't need them knowing where I'm at," unquote, asking her not to respond to anyone who contacted her. When she encouraged him to talk to his sister and meet the new baby, he replied that he wasn't, quote, ready to go back there yet, unquote, and that he, quote, just couldn't be in that environment, unquote.
According to the woman, on the evening of Monday, November 13th, Donaldson went to bed early around 8:30 p.m. She recalled waking up later that night to the sound of the dog barking, but she didn't check the time. She assumed Donaldson had left the house.
At some point during the night, her mother also heard the dog barking and later discovered the front door was unlocked. She locked it and returned to bed, unaware that anything was amiss.
The final victim, 60-year-old Ronald Felton, was shot and killed in the early morning hours of November 14th around 4:50 a.m. as he crossed the street. A construction worker and father of 3 adult children, Ronald was also known in his community for his volunteer work at a local food bank.
That morning, he was on his way to meet the pastor at the church to help prepare for a food distribution event serving families in need. And tragically, he never made it. And Ronald's brother talked about how they were all keenly aware, being members of this community, of what was going on. And I recall him saying something about people avoiding the bus. And his brother avoided the bus, was what I gathered, and still met this terrible fate. Ronald was shot 4 times, once in the back, twice in the head, and once in the right hand.
A witness told law enforcement that she saw a black male approximately 6 feet tall with a thin, strong build shoot Ronald and then run away eastbound. Video surveillance from a nearby business showed a single suspect shoot Ronald as he crossed Nebraska Avenue.
His body was found just 0.6 miles from the Benjamin Mitchell scene, 0.3 miles from Monica Hoffa's, and 0.6 miles from Anthony Naiboa's. 4 .40 caliber SIG cartridge casings were recovered at the scene, and his wallet, keys, and cell phone were found nearby.
Around 5 a.m. that morning, Donaldson returned to his ex-girlfriend's home. She recalled hearing the doorbell ring, then overhearing her mother letting him in. She went back to sleep. After that early morning disruption, the family decided that it was time for Donaldson to move out. He was asked to leave the house by Thursday, November 16th.
The last time the woman heard from Donaldson was around Thanksgiving Day, when he posted a Snapchat video of himself with his family. So now we will talk about the investigation and the arrest. Hit it, Beth!
A forensic analyst with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement examined all recovered cartridge casings from the 4 scenes and determined that they were fired from the same weapon, a .40 caliber Glock handgun, linking all of the cases together.
Got him!
Yeah.
And then the case saw a major breakthrough on November 28th, 2017, when a manager at the Ybor City McDonald's alerted police that an employee had given her a firearm for safekeeping and stated that he planned to leave the state. That employee was Howell Donaldson III.
The McDonald's manager told authorities that Donaldson had given her a food bag, told her not to look inside, and said he needed to get money for a one-way plane ticket. He added that he had done something that he couldn't take back.
I mean, did he have to give all that information?
I mean, I feel like he kind of wanted to get caught. You know?
You think? Oh.
I don't know. It's just, if he didn't.
Could it be the Christian guilt coming back to get him?
Maybe. If he didn't, I mean, this is really stupid.
So stupid. That's
so
what
stupid.
I thought too.
Yeah.
And now, I guess, yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, you did not have to give anybody that gun.
You could have just put it in the trash,
You could have
or
thrown
put
it in the
somewhere.
bay.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, this part of the story really, I'm perplexed. I don't know. I don't
think he
understand.
wanted to get caught.
OG of true crime gets it right every time. Or lots of times.
Or not.
And sometimes makes mistakes.
Never.
And also, do not take any medical advice from the OG of true crime. So, Donaldson then left the restaurant and went to obtain a payday loan. Meanwhile, the manager checked the bag and discovered a firearm inside. Now, he told her, hold this for me, don't look inside. And,
of course she looked inside.
And then she was a little concerned by that. And so she looked inside. And she approached a police officer who just happened to be at the McDonald's working on some paperwork and informed that officer about the gun, as well as Donaldson's comment about leaving the state.
The officer inspected the bag, confirmed the presence of the weapon, and called for backup shortly before 3 p.m. When Donaldson returned to the restaurant parking lot, officers were already waiting for him.
Oh, no! So the gun was identified as a Glock Model 27, loaded with .40 caliber SIG manufactured ammunition. Donaldson told investigators he bought the Glock and the ammunition from a nearby gun store.
He said he'd started carrying it for protection, but that he gave it to the McDonald's manager to keep it away from his younger brother while he was away because he was planning a trip back to New York. Okay.
Okay, I never had a gun, but I would never put it in a McDonald's bag for storage.
And give it to
or safekeeping
a manager.
Or yep, thank you.
I mean, he didn't even really know the manager either. They barely knew each other.
Yeah, you didn't work there for that long. So.
No.
But Donaldson legally purchased the firearm on October 3rd. And 4 days later, after the mandatory waiting period, he picked it up and purchased the ammunition. The murder of Benjamin Mitchell was the first of 4 victims, and that occurred on October 9th.
A firearms analyst examined the cartridge casings recovered from the scenes and confirmed that they had all been fired from the same Glock.
When police searched Donaldson's car, they found clothing that looked similar to the clothes worn by the subject captured in surveillance video the night Benjamin Mitchell was murdered. And police saw what appeared to be a blood stain on a hoodie.
Investigators also used cell phone location data to place Donaldson near the crime scenes at the times of the killings, further connecting him to the crimes.
Investigators wanted to ask Howell Donaldson Jr. and Rosita Donaldson about things like Donaldson's background, whether he had guns, his state of mind, all of that stuff. But they refused to talk, only giving up names, addresses, and birth dates of family members, which is not unusual for a Black American family who is familiar with the United States of America and its criminal legal system.
Yeah.
No matter what. Whether you know he did it or not. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But when they didn't comply with a subpoena, they were put on house arrest and were only allowed to leave their home for employment, medical, and religious reasons. However, they eventually did cooperate and answered the questions and were released from house arrest.
Good. Only because they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I know that law enforcement does that will say we're going to take your children away or we're going to put you in jail if you don't help us. And it's not a tactic I think is good.
It sucks.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And so that's what they chose to do. So the woman who had allowed Donaldson to stay with her in November of 2017 was also interviewed and shown surveillance footage of the man walking and running near the scenes of the murders. When asked for her thoughts, she replied, quote, "I think it's him," unquote.
Got him.
And the difference, I thought the ex-girlfriend, I don't know for sure, but I assumed was not a white person.
I don't think so, but I don't know for sure either.
Okay, I don't know for sure. I'm just assuming. But if it is not a white person, somebody might ask, well, why did his parents not give him up? And why did this other person of color give him up?
They're
his parents. They have more to lose.
Yeah. But also, they probably didn't believe it was him.
Sure. Yeah, that too. But all that to say is that distrust in American law enforcement exists because of the harms that have been done for so long. And so I get it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the trial. What the what, Beth?
So police arrested Donaldson and charged him with 4 counts of first-degree murder in connection to the murders of Benjamin Mitchell, Monica Hoffa, Anthony Noboa, and Ronald Felton.
He claimed innocence and his parents were supportive of him. His trial was scheduled to begin on August 10th, 2020, but was postponed after a judge granted a defense motion to separate the trials for each victim. So one trial for each individual victim, citing different circumstances surrounding them.
Choice Hotels get you more for your money so you can maximize any road trip. And as your vacation maximizationer, I'm going to make sure you hear the maximum sizzle of Comfort Inn's free hot breakfast. Let's get real close. Maximum apple. Now that's fresh crispimization. Maximum waffle. Hear that crunch. And that's maximum coffee. Oh yeah, that's the pour I'm talking about. Breakfast maximized before hitting the road. Check into more. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
If found guilty by a jury, Donaldson could have faced the death penalty. But on May 1st, 2023, Donaldson changed his plea from not guilty to guilty.
Oh.
And he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms for his crimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That's what happened.
Let's get into where are they now?
Okay.
Well, I tell you. After his arrest, Donaldson's profile on the St. John's basketball team website was removed. Bye-bye.
The general manager at the Ybor City McDonald's, who reported the gun to police, received a $110,000 reward for her role in helping catch Donaldson.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for her.
I believe his family is still running their cosmetology school, which I don't want to name. And I didn't want to name his brother and sister either because, why?
I appreciate that. I mean, he did the thing. Right.
Exactly.
So, thank you, Beth, for always striving to do the right thing. She's a good person.
I try.
She's a good one. Me, I'm going to hell. Anyway, let's get into what we think made him snap and our thoughts about the case. What do you got, Beth?
Well, I watched a TV show episode. I think it was like Making a Serial Killer, it was called.
Okay.
It was an episode about this guy.
Okay.
And everyone was saying that his upbringing was really normal and there were no red flags. And I beg to disagree.
Do you? Okay.
Yes. It sounds like his home life was pretty chaotic.
Uh-huh.
And his father may have been abusive given the domestic violence charges.
Right.
There was a lot of different things going on. The financial stuff and
trauma, big T, little T, take your pick.
And then as teenagers, the kids getting in trouble. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And because the family was so religious, it was mentioned like everywhere about how devout these people
source.
Were. Right.
Yeah.
There may have been some negative effects from that.
Sure.
Growing up in a restrictive religious family can negatively impact a child's development.
Yeah.
Leading to potential issues with attachment, self-esteem, and mental health. Mm-hmm. And in any case, it seems like his family did not encourage expressing feelings in a healthy way. And ultimately, I think Donaldson wanted to be a basketball star or work in sports, and his dreams were not coming true. He could not see the future. He could not see how long it would take. It takes a while to build that stuff up.
He was in his early 20s.
Yeah.
Come
he just
on.
couldn't see it.
He just couldn't
and
see
so he gave up, got angry, and for whatever reason decided that shooting people felt good.
Yeah. Yeah. And to the felt good part, his murders were like extra. Like he killed people or shot multiple times.
Yeah.
Not just like he missed. Some of the descriptions of the murders were like he went back to make sure that this person was expired. Ronald
Felton, he shot him and then he like stood over him and shot him again.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Beth. I will say, though, while I agree that religion can be so harmful and painful, I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second, it can also be good. So I don't want to not say that. Yeah, and I know you're not saying that. I just know
what I was
for the
saying,
listener,
if it's like a specific kind of religion. And I'm not even saying that that's what happened in his family. I'm just saying it could have happened.
Yeah.
If, specific kinds of religions where they're very restrictive and you can't do this and you can't do that, and if you do that, you're going to hell, you're bad, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so let's examine this thought, because I felt like the religion kind of is more important than I think we're giving it credit, in that he believed, in my thoughts, this is just my opinion, this prosperity gospel, that if you do the right thing and you serve God and you're a good person and you go to school and you go to church and you don't kill anyone, then you're supposed to get like everything you asked for, everything your heart desires, all the prosperity should come to you because you're a loyal servant to God. Right. And he is maybe raised in this and believing it probably, should be happening. Why isn't it happening? Why isn't it? I guess I'm not good enough. Yeah. Why isn't Elon Musk my neighbor? What's going on? And the gospel's not working. It's not working.
That always really bothered me about the prosperity gospel, because most people, life doesn't work out like that, And so what are you supposed to think? God doesn't love you. No. What else are you going to think?
I mean, just think of it a different way.
I don't believe in the prosperity gospel.
Just wait. You have so much to live for, Beth.
No, not me. I'm just saying I don't believe in that shit. But if I did, and nothing was working out, I would think that God doesn't love me, and I guess I'm going to hell.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, what I'm getting at is, he didn't get to the end of the story.
Oh, yeah.
He was young. You have to have patience. He was in his 20s and his brain was not fully developed. So maybe he wasn't even capable of seeing or knowing. Yeah. It can get better if you just wait. Just hold on. It gets better.
Just hold on. It does. Yeah.
I mean, he had a degree in sports management. Imagine what he could have. He could have been somewhere much higher than where he is now.
And also the focus on our society, the focus on material things as being
capitalism,
success. Which I don't agree with at all, because success to me is finding something that you love and doing it,
Yeah. Are you alive?
Whether
Can you
it's
smile?
Whether or not that's lucrative is another story. It doesn't matter, though, if you have family around you, people that you love, and you're doing things that you love to do. I mean, not all the time, but, like the podcast. We love to do the podcast. That makes my life worthwhile. So, yeah.
But I also think that you and I, you especially, gosh, I want to fast forward and be where Beth is right now. But you have the benefit of life experience, extra years. And but that's so beautiful and wonderful, because
it does give you a new perspective.
When somebody young comes to you in distress, with your experience that it's not going to be like this forever. And
oh God, I remember my first boyfriend.
Do you remember
I remember my first boyfriend breaking up with me, and how devastated I was. And I thought my life was over. And then like 2 months later, I was dating somebody else and super happy. So
right? Is that, when you're in your 20s, I mean, I really thought just all the things that I thought, like, why aren't I on Broadway yet? Hello. But I understand having dreams, and I understand being young. And I'll get to this in the How Not to Get Murdered takes about, mental health and fortitude. But I just think the Christianity could have been used in a better way.
Yeah, for sure.
For him, right? Like, he was raised with these values of, well, I mean, the first commandment isn't it don't kill? Isn't that one of the rules?
That is one of the big ones.
It's a big one. And when you're a kid and you are raised in the church, thou shalt not kill. Got it. But Christianity can also be a way to cope. And me personally, he had 2 Black parents of the same generation as mine. Black parents who their parents may have been raised in segregation, and we are good people. We are middle class. We're living we are regular Americans. We just happen to be Black, but we are regular Americans, and just sort of stressing this success mindset. And we talked about how there might have been abuse in the home, and in the Black community, maybe even the church and its teachings might not see their beliefs as abusive or harmful, but teachings like spare the rod, spoil the child, or about, shit like how the man is the head of the household. Pillory. Yeah, like those things. Wait, did you spare the pillory?
Spare the pillory, spoil the child.
now that I know what pillory means, that's hilarious. But Christianity can sometimes look good and wholesome, but behind the scenes, Christian homes, like any other homes, can have problems because Christians are people and people are fucked up.
Yeah.
And I thought about the prosperity gospel. You do good. It's supposed to pay dividends, but Donaldson did all those things and he wasn't getting none of the dividends. And he was frustrated. And it just seemed like it got a little bit worse after that frustration, the girlfriend thing and the not having a house thing and the job thing and sort of the humiliation of now I'm Calvin from McDonald's, but I have a degree. And so just feeling defeated. And I think all those things got to him, and without a support system or coping skills or the ability to see that bad things happening in my young life will not last always.
Yeah.
Trouble don't last always, but joy cometh in the morning. Amen. If somebody would have just got on the phone and told him that, I just wonder. But all that said, it just doesn't make any sense because he was in pain, and if it had waited or changed or waited for things to get better, he did something permanent to the existence of other humans and their loved ones. And it's really sad because his feelings of inadequacy were temporary.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed with the people who have been left in the wake of this case. My research led me to believe that it was a really wonderful community, idyllic. And this is awful. They did not deserve this. And lastly, rest in power to the victims, Benjamin Mitchell, Monica Hoffa, Anthony Iboa, and Ronald Felton. And just sending our thoughts and healing energy to the community of Seminole Heights and everyone who knew and loved these victims and everyone who was impacted by this 51-day saga.
Yeah.
Beth, where can the people find us?
Our website is fruitloopspod.com, and we use Fruit Loops Pod for all of our social media.
This is a weekly podcast, and new episodes drop every Thursday. So until next time, look alive, y'all. It's crazy out there.